Hello and welcome to Element451. My name is Brendan. I'm the Associate Vice President of Solutions Engineering. And today you're going to go on a journey. You're going to see some of my greatest hits demos in some ways that I talk about the platform that really is going to knock your socks off. So grab some popcorn, enjoy the show. And remember, if you have any questions while you're watching this, we're only one email, one call, one text away. So let us know if you need anything and enjoy the show. All right, so today, folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you around the Element 451 platform. I'm going to show you a little bit of what students will experience from an external position of going through that initial inquiry journey, top of funnel, all the way through to being an applicant and then going through the application. And then even after they're accepted, what does that look like? So that's what we're going to start off with is that student journey. And then we're going to immediately move internally, right? Because something that we always talk about is how it's a student-centered platform. And I think you'll see that up above and beyond today with what we show you. But the other thing that's attached right to that is what is your experience using the platform? How does it impact your day-to-day life and what you do compared to systems that maybe you've used in the past or even other options that you might possibly be looking at in the future? And I think that's where we really stand out are those two core areas. So I hope you'll see both of those today. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a high-level overview of the platform so you know what to expect as we go in here. We're going to touch on mostly everything here at a high level view. So let's dig in here. This is what you see when you log into the platform as an admin or an end user. Very streamlined, very simple UI. Doesn't look like you're working in Windows 98. And so you're able to go in here and immediately see how we're centered and grounded in AI, right? The first thing you see and are greeted with is an AI assistant to help you start navigating the platform and get a grasp on what's going on, not only with the things that you have today, like with Catch Me Up, it'll go through and tell you what kind of tasks you have for the day. It'll go through and tell you how, if you have any applications to review, if you have any conversations to respond to, but even if you wanted to do things like get summaries on contact records and things like that, these assistants are going to remove the amount of clicks that it takes to do things within the system. It's going to put what you need to know in front of you and streamline your work so that you don't have to be guessing and clicking all around in the system or searching on a contact record to find what you need to find. They're really meant to help you along the way. And you'll see that as we go through the demo of what these are helping you, what these assistants are helping you with through using it. But if you look at the top here, you'll notice we have this control panel up the top, these four different menu items. The first one being contacts. And this is really where you're going to get a grasp on managing the records within your system. So anything that you need to do, if you needed to query a list of students, or if you wanted to add in some different relationships that you have with any third-party organizations as those relate to the student records that are in your system, you can do that within organizations. Talk about getting things done. Tasks will allow you to do that. It's an understatement to say it's just a task tool. It is a project management tool to the fullest. You'll be able to create custom and focused queues that are looking at specific areas of productivity that you want to get done and get focused on. But it also allows you to do things like create task templates for very intricate task flows that you want to go in and automate. So you don't have to go in and do a lot of manual task creation, but you have the system working on the back end to create these tasks for the different workflows that you're setting up on the back end. And then we have obviously where you can go in and create different labels that you can associate with those records, set up and manage your territories. And our deduplication tool is going to help you manage the duplicates that may come up from time to time. But let's hop in here as we're on contacts and take a look at this section here. This is our our people module where you're going to be able to go in and actually take a look at how you would query and pull different lists of students. And this is something that would make your life a lot easier, right? And whenever you had to query a certain list or group of students and save those to re-reference and utilize, the only thing that you're needing to do here is go in and take a look at these different filters that you can establish and set up and associate based off of any demographic data that you're collecting or based off of any activity that you're tracking on that student. And this is where it gets very powerful because we stay student-centered platform. And the reason why we say that is because you're able to take a look at not only what that student's telling you when they fill out their application or fill out their form, but you're also privy and have access to see where they're at in the process of actively doing these things, like where they're at in their application, what's happening from a current student perspective with courses that they're enrolling or dropping. How are they engaging with the emails that you're putting in front of them? And even how are they navigating through your website? What pages are they viewing? What links are they clicking on? So now what you can actually do is you save these segments to now reference to automate things on the back end or to personalize content to the different segments that you're creating. So segments and being able to come here and query these students that makes them actionable, right? It's not just pulling them for information's sake, but it's pulling them and saving that to constantly use them to automate the actions that are being executed and to personalize the messaging that are going to those different groups that you're pulling and saving within the system. So any different messaging, you want to go to different demographics, you're going to be able to set that up through the segmentation tool here. So this is a pretty big foundational piece here. So I like to cover it up front. You'll see it permeated through as we talk through things like campaigns and different areas of the platform. So keep that in mind. But then next up, we have our engagement tab. And this is where it gets fun. This is going to be all the exciting stuff that we go through today. I like to call it the Ferrari of the system because you're going to get in and you're going to hit the gas pedal and you're going to have a good time. So this is where you're going to be able to see, and I'm not going to read off each of these different tools that you have, but if you take a look through that list right there, I'm sure you'll notice a lot of things that you're probably using one, two, three, four different systems to accomplish. And the goal here that we want everyone to take away from is that you don't have to live that way, right? You don't have to work that way. You're able to have Element 451 as your single engagement layer for all your students that come in as a prospect, all the way through to them being alumni. And that's various different engagement points: appointment scheduling, event management, form and data collection, in all of your messaging that's going to those students, whether it's two-way comms or you're setting up marketing campaigns. Like all of these are going to be encompassed in this tool, and you're going to be able to track and see the impact that these have on your students because it's within and under that one umbrella. So this is what we'll go through: a lot of these today, and you'll be able to see how those are working together to really level up what you're doing and how you're engaging with your students. And then, of course, we have an applications tool here where you're going to be able to create different applications for your students, whether that is for your undergrad students, your grad students, your international students. You can have as many different applications as you'd like within the system, and you're going to be able to collect those and set up the different cohorts. And also, on top of the experience for the students, you also have where you're setting up the decisioning and review process here within the system as well. And we're taking a lot of the manual out of that review process through our intelligent admissions, where you're going to be able to set up automation rules that are going to help process through those applications. And then last but not least, data and automations. I mentioned the fuel being the segments. Well, the engine is going to be under here, right? This is where you're going to be able to see and manage all of your data sources, all of your fields. You're going to be able to set up any of those batch imports or exports within the system of systems that are talking. You'll be able to set those up within this section as well. But then you'll notice we have our workflows. Workflows are going to help automate all of the things, right? We're talking communication flows. We're talking about like the management of territories. We're talking about task management within the system, even beer workflows, or even where you're going to set up, if you are utilizing an API, you're going to be able to set up workflows to trigger whenever that data is going over to colleague. So this is going to be makes your life a lot easier, right? Workflows are going to automate a lot of the processes that you're working towards and probably stepping in and sometimes probably feeling like a hamster in the wheel, right? You have to be in the system and do something in the system to see it actually work. And the goal here with what we're doing at Element is to remove you from those hamster wheels, right? And to put the system in the hamster wheel, let it do the work, let it do the notification, let it do the processing, and then bring you in when it matters most, when you need to be there the most to deal with the student and help out. And then lastly, we have our knowledge base, and we're going to be talking a good amount about AI today. So I wanted to make sure that we go through and cover what it looks like here to be able to leverage AI within a system and what that looks like for Element specifically, because it's very important to understand because AI is a very trendy word. Everyone's attaching it everywhere. You throw it everywhere. And to take a look at these systems, one of the things you need to understand is whenever someone claims AI, you have to look at it from what is the actual impact and what is the actual problems that it's solving, not just, oh, hey, we use ChatGPT. Okay, great. But how, right? How many steps does it take to get it off and what is it actually accomplishing? So giving you that foundation here of what we're doing and why we're doing it starts with the knowledge base. Number one, our AI tools are not leaving the system, right? Ever. They're staying internal to the platform. We bring the LLMs into Element, and the knowledge base of the information that it's pulling from is only within this knowledge base, which is all your institutional knowledge specific to you. And one of the beautiful things about it is how easy it is to set up. And I say beautiful, but one of the powerful things about it is how easy it is to set up. I can show you how to do this within the next couple of minutes, and then you could leave this meeting and go do it over the course of the next hour or two, as long as you know where your resources are, and it would be done, and you could activate this and start using AI assistance immediately. That's the power of it, is how quickly you can start getting value out of a tool like this. But essentially the how is you're not setting it up like a decision tree, right? You don't have to be able to predict how students are going to ask questions or what questions they're going to ask. The LLMs have the context of that, right? They're grounded in higher education and being AI assistants for higher ed. So you can come in and you're just determining what information about our institution do we want to live in this knowledge base? Is it just text where you can copy and paste it? Is it a URL for an individual landing page, maybe on your website, or an external one like va.gov for veteran students? So you can put in either just an individual page URL, or you can have it pull in the entire website, pulling in the entire sitemap. And then this is the cool part about this. If you do the URL or the website, you're able to toggle it on to sync daily. So not only is it scraping all the information off of those pages within seconds, but it's doing some kind of animation on me. Sorry about that. But also you toggle it on to sync daily, and now it's upkeeping itself. So anytime anything is changed or adjusted on that page, it's now rescraping that information every day. So the assistants are constantly updated as to what's going on and to have the most up-to-date information. And then the last two here, file upload. Think about this, right? You have course catalogs that are 60, 70, 80 pages long. You load these in here, and now you have AI assistants that can be program advisors, right? And talk to students about what their interests are and what program would fit best. These are the tools that we want you to leverage to really transform what you're doing, how you're doing it. And when I say that, like, I mean it. It is a very transformative tool that is going to give you back so much time, and it's going to be able to help impact students and you as end users in ways that you can't even imagine. Let's keep going. We're going to take a look and see a student journey, right? So front end, what is a student seeing? How are they engaging with this? And how are we changing how students are engaging with institutions? And to do that, I'll introduce you to my friend Jamie. So Jamie here is really interested in attending a school in Alabama and excelled in science in high school, loves helping people, and he wants a personal connection to whatever institution he decides to attend, right? Those are the things we know about Jamie, but we don't know anything else yet. So what's important here when these students start searching for what they want, right? One word comes to mind. It's really important, and that's accessibility, right? Accessibility to information. And what we've seen is that students, by and large, are frustrated because there's a lack of that on college websites. There's a lack of that as they go through this process, not only as prospective students, but also as current students, something that we can attribute to things like low retention rates and low enrollment rates. So these are things that students are really frustrated with, and it boils down to accessibility, right? And so whenever Jamie goes to your website and he doesn't know what he wants to major in, but he wants to explore everything, he's looking for a couple of things, right? He's looking to obviously get get more information from you. So maybe he looks to fill out an RFI form. So that is something that's very important, but it's also something that we've had as a traditional form of engagement and hand raising for a long time. And students are engaging with websites and pages a lot differently than they were the past 10 to 15 years. So we also have tools like AI assistants and generative search. So really one of the ways that we're transforming this is by utilizing a generative search, right? And so we have this is meant to supplant the search bar on your website to help give students more access to kick off their information gathering journey. So I can say, tell me about your medical programs. And then you'll see the difference here as soon as I put this in. So immediately it gives them access to the pages where that information lives. And it also gives them a conversational response to be able to answer that question. So it gives them the different programs and then follows up with it has follow-up questions so they can then follow up based off the question that they asked and the answer that was given. It can drive them to the next step of maybe answering another question they may have, piquing their curiosity where it needs to go, but also it can drive them and connect them with your AI assistants that you have within the platform. So you're going to be able to see this through and through. And even as they ask questions about financial aid, and maybe they don't have a record within the system, maybe they're still searching through here and they're anonymous, you're also able to collect leads within this discovery search. So once it presents the follow-up questions, you can have discovery come in and also collect leads. So you see here how it's really transforming this top of funnel process, this engagement process, two different ways, right? It's still getting you your information through collecting the data, the demographic data on the student, so you can now drive your processes on the back end and start monitoring what happens and moving them through the funnel. But it's giving students the information they want, when they want it, and how they want it. They're able to see it here in conversational response. They're able to reference an historical record of all the questions and threads that they've created before. And then it also presents them with any video content that is relevant to whatever question that they're asking and keeps them within the environment, right? It doesn't send them over to YouTube where they can get distracted with what's on the suggested screen on the right of their screen, and then they leave your website and never come back. So these are all things that are going to keep the student involved, make them feel seen, and give them what they need when they need it. So I went and actually created this landing page for you all as well on top of the other one. Took about 25 minutes for me to put this together, but I really wanted to show you how you can easily spin up and capture one of these to expand your web presence, be very agile in your approach of things that you need. But also I had to have a page to show you the AI assistants. And so whenever we come in here, you'll see you're greeted with a team of these assistants and not just one chatbot, right? That is most of the time not even answering the right questions. You're going to be greeted with these assistants that have various roles, right? Admissions advisors, career advisors, financial aid advisors that are allowing the student to be able to point to an area where they know they have pain and find a solution within that area. So if I come in here, we'll use Jamie as an example. And Jamie was to come in here and he was to say something like the same thing that I showed in the examples. Hey, I don't know what to do. You'll see the immediate difference from the other chat solutions. I'm here to help, number one, right? Empathy, that is very powerful. Could you tell me a bit more about what you're unsure about? Are you looking for career advice, course information, or something else? Immediately you see the difference, right? It's not focused on the words that were asked or the question. It's focused on the person. It's focused on the student, and it's very conversational. It's exactly how we would handle if someone came up to you and said, hey, I don't know what to do. You'd be like, tell me a little bit more. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but let me see if I can help you out. Tell me a little bit more. And so then I can come back and say, I don't know what I want to study. So yeah. Right. And so you'll notice here, you don't have to say things the right way. You don't have to spell things the right way. No problem. Let's start by exploring your interest. What subjects or activities do you enjoy? I loved science in high school, and in my free time, I volunteered a lot, just like we saw on the slide there about Jamie. So you'll notice here, because the assistant knows about all the institutional knowledge, all the programs, everything you offer, how you want to speak to students, all of that, it's able to take those interests and associate it with your programs and tell him, okay, because what you like to do, this is probably some things that could pique your interest in what you want to major in and what you want to choose as you go through your admissions application. So it's taking them through this program Explore in a way that is conversational, as if they're talking to a person, right? This is available to them 24/7 in whatever language they speak, in whatever modality they want to speak in. Right. So it speaks to these students in whatever language they speak. Over 100 different languages. They don't have to prompt it to speak that language. They just come in, they start speaking whatever language it is. It starts speaking back in that language. And whenever we talk about modalities, I can go in here. I'm going to start a new one because I don't want to keep going Vietnamese on these folks because I can't speak Vietnamese. But I can go here and now I can say, hey, Josh, can you tell me a little bit more about the nursing program? And students aren't just limited to typing back and forth with these assistants, but they can come in here and talk back and forth with them, similar to how you can engage with ChatGPT, right? Talk back and forth to the assistant and they have a conversation with you. And you can see it immediately transcribes whatever's said. And notice the assistant doesn't type
Hi,
back.
Conrad. The nursing program at Element University is
It
one of
talks
our
back,
top majors.
right? So these
It
voice
prepares students
assistants are, again, in another way, other than speaking their language, meeting them in where they are by talking to them in whatever modality they want to speak in: text, voice. If they have images they want to send over, if they have files they need to send over, they can see those, engage with them, talk about them, all of those things. So all of these different modalities are accomplishing two things, right? They're taking a load off of you, right? We've had our other partner schools that are using this. 80% of incoming messages taken care of with AI assistance. 20% is the important stuff, right? The stuff that needs to get to you. So time saving for you, but seriously, this is working 24/7. It's doing a better job than even you could do, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's a thing that you don't have to. Whenever I actually worked in a loan processing, one of my first jobs in financial aid. 2 days out of my week, I had to sit at a computer and answer over and over again the same questions, and the answers lived on our website, but nobody was looking for them to find them. And that hasn't changed today. People still do that. That's still the same problem. It's just students are looking less and less, right? So the questions seem to come in at a faster clip sometimes. That is really what Jamie's experiencing and how that is adjusting and changing over time, and how we've taken what's coming and what's here already, and we've given you the tools to be able to handle that and engage with these students on a level that hasn't been done before. But of course, once the students in, they have their RFI form, they know what program they want. You want to continue that personalized engagement. You want to be able to connect with them and drive them to the events that are important to them. Connect with them once they register for an event, drop them into automatic communications that are welcoming them to that event, reminding them, give them all the information that they need to know, and then even collecting a post-event survey to get their ideas. Because the more personalized engagement that you have, the more you're able to give the student what they want to see and drive them where they need to be. And you have a clearer picture of that, even down to the pages that you're driving them on your website or the places that they're visiting on your website, right? You don't want to have to wait for them to tell you that they can't afford school. But hey, maybe you notice that they visited your scholarships page 6 times in the past week and haven't said anything otherwise. Now, Element can take that activity from the student, proactively recognize that they visited that page, and now engage with that student, drop them into a scholarship campaign that's informing them and educating them about scholarships, right? It's all about being proactive. You don't want to be the reactive school, right? That's where students end up leaving. They don't say anything. And you don't want them to be lost and forgotten. You want them to feel seen. You want them to feel understood. And that's essentially targeted marketing, right? It's every area of the world is doing it for the most part, other than higher ed in a lot of spaces. So it's just what everyone's used to. And it's something that you need to have the tools to do that easily and effectively. And that's what we're doing here. So Jamie has been able to go on these different journeys to see these different tools. And we'll take a little bit of a preview at them right here. So if we go in here, if my pages will load, apologize. You'll be able to see having an events page that houses all of your institutional events to be able to drive students to. They all have their own individual pages that they can click into, and you can drive students to separately, these individual pages as well. Fun note, fun fact, all of the landing pages, all of the portals, all of the event pages, appointment scheduling pages, they're all hosted by us, right? So you guys don't have to worry about hosting those. We handle the hosting. You're just pointing the external, you're securing an external domain and pointing that to the primary domain that we're hosting on the back end. But this is what students will be able to see. They can go in and register to hold their spot for an event. These event forms can be customized and scoped to each individual event to collect different unique information for them. You can have payments associated with your events and any form within Element for that matter. It allows for a lot of flexibility there. So you can do alumni donation collections, or you can do pseudo course registration. That's one that me and Kelly we're helping talk to a school about through the different modules and forms within Element 451. But once students go in here, they get their information for the event and they register for it, the system does the rest, right? It's able to drop them into the automatic communications. It adds that tracking information to their person record, and you're able to see that activity, what's happening, what communications are getting without having to go in and do and schedule and send off things on your own. So you have all that here with events. But on top of events, the very close cousin to events are appointments, right? And so maybe some appointments need to be scheduled with their financial aid advisor to talk about their packaging. Maybe they need to be talking about how they do their FAFSA. Lord knows we have too many financial aid questions to deal with these days. So let's let the AI assistants handle most of them and then schedule the appointments for the necessary stuff. So you can see how you can come in and schedule appointments. Think of it like Calendly, right? But it's part of your CRM. You're able to go in here and have students schedule appointments. This is connecting to your calendar, talking back and forth. So it's pulling live availability so it can see what time slots are available for what you're trying to schedule. You can go in there and schedule those appointments. And same thing with events. It's going to go ahead and block it off in the calendar, enroll in automatic communications, and track that activity on that person record. So all of these tools are going to be the different various ways that you're continuing to drive students through the process to be able to collect more demographic data, give them what they need to see and what they want to see, but at the same time, continue to drive them to the right places. And so the next step in this, right, is being able to come in and see what the student experience is on the application, right? So you've rolled out that red carpet, you've given them that experience, right? And that is a very important thing these days, is to provide the right experience for these students and for that to be a frictionless one. And so you've done that, they make it to the application, and now you're able to continue to give that white glove red carpet service for that student. So they come in here, they log in, and one of the cool things is once you start these applications, it continues to track that progress. So they'll always have an idea of where they're at. If they stop, it saves it. They can come back later. And obviously you'll have workflows running on the back end to remind them if they don't finish it to come back. Hey, you haven't finished this yet. And all of that's being automated. But then you'll be able to see here, they can come back, get access back into their application through the portal. And this is actually a live application for one of our partners, Trinity Valley Community College. I actually use this one because I built it. So there's a little bit of a sense of pride there whenever I was back in CS, helped build this for them. And you'll see here that whenever the students are going through this, they have a very clear line of sight as to what's left, right? So they finished these sections. They still have to fill in their high school information. One of the great things about that is they don't have to type in a lot, because we have a search bar to where they can come in and pull it through a database, and it's going to pull in that high school information for them. They just have to fill in their personal information from the high school. Did they graduate? Things like of that nature. Upload their transcript if you wanted to collect that here at this point as well. But this is where they'll be able to put that information in, and then their residency information. So this is incredible example of our conditional logic that we have here. So as these students are going through and asking and answering, you're asking and they're answering these questions, you're able to present different questions following that based off of what they're currently answering. And that does a couple reasons that's important. It's important because now the student is able to have a seamless, frictionless experience where they don't have to worry about giving information that they don't need to give based on how they're answering their questions. And also for you, right? If you just lay out all your questions, no matter what they are, sometimes students make mistakes. They put in wrong information, they fill it out incorrectly. And so now you have to deal with misinformation and inaccurate data as that's coming in. And it just gives you more work on the back end to have to deal with and weed out. So being able to set that up and establish that is very important. And that conditional logic permeates through all the other form captures that we have here. So your lead forms, your event forms, your appointment scheduling forms, all of those can incorporate conditional logic as they go through that, and even conditional payments based off of how things are answered in the current situation. And then, of course, document uploads. You can have as many custom upload fields as you want and collect whatever data documents you want through the application process for that student. And if the student needs help at any time, they're able to hop in here and immediately start getting assistance from your AI advisors, or even if they need to be connected to an actual person, they can do that as well. And even down to the point where I'll show you this when we go on the person record, they're going to be able to actually, as someone working in admissions or whoever they would contact, you have a way to just do a screen capture, a screen recording of what you're seeing and troubleshoot with the student and immediately send that video over to them to help them walk through any bottlenecks or blockers that they have as they go through this. So very cool tool that we have there as well. But to wrap the application portion up here with the student and what Jamie's experiencing, you'll be able to see that you can toggle on what's called a snap app. And you don't have to use this, you just have the option to. But really, this is going to help you with your application conversion rates if that's something that you see you need help with. It's going to provide an even more frictionless experience for the student to where it minimizes the menu down to one section, which is the application, and it removes any fields that are not required. So if there's certain cohorts or demographics of students that you want to give this experience to as opposed to the traditional, to make sure that you can up that conversion rate for the application conversions, you can turn this on and toggle this on for a certain application or application type, and you'll be able to go in here and set that up so it's even more frictionless for the student to go through as they navigate through that. So that's Jamie, right? He's filled out his application. He's gotten the red carpet service. He had a easy time. He finished his application in mere minutes because it also pulled in all the information that he's given you prior. So it pre-populates that information so the student doesn't have to give that information more than once. And then he gets accepted, right? And then you drive him, because then we're going from personalized engagement to personalized yield management. So now we're dealing with the student that is getting ready to enroll. So what kind of experience is that student getting? And that's where our microsite portals come into play. And this is where you're going to be able to drive students to see the information that you want them to see based off of what's true about that individual student. So they'll see whatever blocks here are relevant to them, whatever next steps, whatever events they need to be driven to. If they need to schedule an appointment with someone, they'll be able to see that appointment scheduling versus another student who may not. It is a completely curated experience for whoever is logged in behind the portal to see the things that they need to see, even down to their next steps that they're driving them to. So whenever they need to create things like their web account or make sure they finish their financial aid things, you're able to give them this checklist that they can go in and have easy, clearly defined steps on what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and keep track of what's to do as that yield management tool. You'll also be able to showcase various different tabs of information that they may be interested in seeing, like an overview of their program. You can show them like a course outline of their program. You'll be able to go in, and if you want to show them a page of financial aid information, you'll be able to go in and showcase that information to them. Again, not there's never too much information in regards to financial aid, so you'll be able to show them that. But this is Bethune Cookman's microsite. This is actually a live microsite for them, but they chose to show this on this tab, right? So you get whatever information you're wanting to detail and show students, that's what you're going to be able to showcase here. And everything that I showed today, full disclosure, I wanted to wait to say this until we got through everything. Everything is set up in a no code environment. So you don't have to throw this load on your IT team. You don't have to go out and hire a CRM admin to completely manage it all the time, or for that entire load to fall on that person. Your individual teams that are using this can use this platform and build in this platform if you wanted them to. And that's the power of this. And that's how you're able to get so much value out of it in such a short amount of time, because it's not a big lift and a big effort to go in and build these things out. Everything in the platform is no code. You don't have to know HTML. You don't have to know SQL. You don't have to know any of those things to go in and not just use it, but also to build out in it and to create any of these things that I showed you. This is our grand central station of student success. This is Student Hub. So you're going to be able to put these AI tools like discovery right in front of students. So if a student comes in here and they say something like, I hear we have a new minor in peace in conflict, right? You'll see they can immediately have this solution of accessibility of information right in their pocket. Like she said, no more link surfing, right? The traditional way of search is dead. Whenever you go and you type a question, students don't want to get, hey, here's your 783 results. Now go find what you're looking for, right? Students aren't spending the time to search. They're not spending the time to hunt for what they need. They're conversationally asking their question. This isn't even a question, right? I hear we have a new minor in peace and conflict. This is how students are looking for information. It's more conversational since ChatGPT burst on the scene about 2 years ago. It's increasingly more getting so. And so whenever you look here, what it's doing is it's going through those different pages on your website that are in your knowledge base that you've loaded in, and it's finding the answer to whatever question or whatever thing was stated by the student. And then not only is it giving them a way to go look at that information deeper and a little bit more, it's also answering their question. That's the important part, right? It's not saying, yes, your question, go find the answer. It gives them a conversational answer, and then more than that, to Christina's point, it's predicting what they would want to know next. It's taking a look, it's analyzing what the information is that they asked, it's analyzing the answer, and then it's saying, these are the questions you probably will want to ask after this, because students don't know what they don't know. So you want to make sure you're guiding them in the ways that they should follow next. But if they don't want to choose one of those, they can also just ask their own follow-up question. I can say, what courses are a part of this new minor. Notice it keeps context. I didn't say what courses are a part of the peace and conflict minor. I said what courses are a part of this new minor. And it keeps context of that conversation and that thread that's going on. And it's able to go through those specific courses and tell me a little bit more about them. So these are all the things that are just, again, revolutionizing and making information for students way more accessible. And this is what we see as a big frustration point on students. So then, like I was saying, that example I was given earlier, they can even come in here and ask a question like, I am a poli sci major. Is this a good fit for me? All right. So it's able to analyze and compare this program that it's talking about in comparison with someone that's a poli sci major and giving that information. This is what is able to revolutionize the support in making sure that students have what they need. They can easily share it if they need to. You can make it easily shareable, these threads, and it's just giving students that accessibility of what they're wanting to find. This is a mobile app, so they're gonna be able to have this right in their pocket to access and pull out and utilize whenever they want. The other thing that they're gonna be able to have, you notice they're greeted with this explore in the explore tab. This is what they log in, they get warmly greeted, they have access to their discovery, and then down here, front and center is everything that they need to be aware of, right? So the appointments that they have that they're scheduled for coming up that they're already supposed to be going to, any upcoming events that they've registered for that they need to be aware of, and then any upcoming tasks that they need to take care of, right? This is what I was talking about under the contacts menu where it says tasks. One of the things that we introduced alongside Student Hub, and something we've done for years, is having tasks for admins, end users, the people using Element to work. But for students, we introduced this concept of tasks so that you can now push to students things that you need them to do, checklists that they may need to complete. So now they can have this information front and center, right in front of their face, and even be able to get notified on that with push notifications, text messages, emails on a regular interval basis. So they have everything that they need on this explore tab right in front of their face, right where they need to see it, to make sure that they stay on board, they stay on track, and they're able to be successful. But one of the things I also want to dig into whenever we talk about AI first, it's more than just that discovery, question, answer, accessibility of information. Students also want one-to-one support, right? And they want one-to-one support all the time, every single day, no matter what time it is. So the other tool are these AI assistants. And these AI assistants are on purpose located in a very centralized location within the student hub, because this is a key piece to the experience that we have here with student hub. And let's go ahead and just pull up one of these. Let's go pull up the academic advisor, and I can just go in here and say I need some tutoring. What are the hours that I can go? And you'll notice that it's going to be able to give me conversationally the information, the answers that I need based on the hours that the tutoring office are open. And so this conversationally, it can go back via text back and forth. And it's different than a question answer bot because it is so conversational. So I can say, thank you so much. This is incredibly helpful. I am just so overwhelmed and not doing great in my classes. Right. And so you can see the conversational, the empathy that's shown. It's personalized, right? Remember, this is accessing the student's information because it's authenticated behind the hub. And so seeking help is a great first step. If you need more support, consider joining study groups or reaching out to your professors during office hours. You're taking the right steps and you can do this, right? So they have this support all the way through that doesn't require someone to come in and encourage them themselves, but these AI advisors, these AI assistants are able to step in and do that role when students need it 24/7 in whatever language they need to speak. But also, you think about modality, right? And meeting students where they are. And more, we see students that are looking at I don't know if you've seen people walking around holding their phones like this, talking to their phone like this. So sometimes they're talking to a person, but sometimes I don't know if you've seen OpenAI's recent release of real-time voice APIs. And what this allows is students to actually have a real-time voice conversation and phone call with these AI assistants. And I'm going to demo it for you really quick. Notice there's call, but also whenever you talk about how they can interact with these assistants, they can also send images and files, and that will allow the AI assistants to see them, look at them, interact with them based off of what they're sending them as well, and talk about them. So different bunch of different modalities that you can communicate with these. So let me go ahead and start this call.
Hello, Patrick. I'm Ember, your AI assistant from Element University. How can I help you today?
Hey, I'm just wondering when priority registration for spring begins and if I missed it.
Priority registration for the spring 2025 semester began on November 11th, 2024. If you haven't registered yet, it's a good idea to check your registration status soon.
Ooh, that's good to know. Is there anything I need to know prior to registering for courses or anything that I need to do?
Before registering for courses, make sure you've checked a few key things. 1. Academic advising. Meet with your academic advisor to discuss your course plans and ensure you're on track with your degree requirements.
Oh man. Okay. I haven't met with my advisor yet. Is there any way you can help me schedule that appointment?
We have a variety of advising appointments available. Let me know if you have a preference for a specific advisor or a particular type of appointment. Otherwise, I can help you schedule an appointment with the next available advisor for a general advising office hours.
Yeah, I don't have any preference. Just let me know what you have available.
Great! We have several appointment slots available. How about we look at tomorrow, November 16th? We have openings from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Do you have a preferred time
Let's go
within
ahead and
that?
knock it out early. Let's go 9 a.m.
Your advising appointment has been scheduled for Saturday, November 16th at 9 a.m. EST. Please
I'm
check your email for a
I'm so
confirmation.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really having a hard time understanding you. I only speak Spanish really. Can you speak Spanish for me?
Por supuesto, Patrick, podemos continuar en español. ¿Hay algo más en lo que pueda ayudarte?
So you can see the impact that a tool like that can have. And notice it transcribed the entire conversation. You have complete transparency to these conversations back in the conversations module, but this just gives also students a reference point so they can go back and re-reference this, right? It wasn't just a phone call that they had that they forget what they said or what was told to them. They can go back and re-reference this within their hub and see if they need to go back to that, what's going on and what to do there. So they have that support, right? They have the multilingual 24/7 AI assistant support so they can get one-to-one support whenever they need it. They can get encouragement, they can get empathy, they can get best practices, they can get the ability because of those interconnected tools like appointment scheduling and event registration, they're going to be able to do those things without having to bring someone into the loop and they can do it whenever they need to. That's a lot of the impact that we're seeing there in the support that we see with those AI assistants and having them available to students whenever they need them, whenever they want them. So that's the explore page. That's the AI assistants. But if I will go over here to resources, this is going to be a very big important piece. The first thing you'll notice, and I'll go through these first, is the fact that Yes, they can register for events and schedule appointments through the AI assistants. But if they themselves just want to click and scroll through and see all the events that are happening on campus and register for them, they can do that. Same thing with appointments. They can take a look at the different offices and the different individuals that are hosting appointments, and they can go in here and view the availabilities of those persons, and notice that they can go in here and pick a time, and it's going to pull up a calendar, and they'll be able to see the availability. So very similar to your tools like a Calendly, right? So this is going to allow them the ability to just peruse through, see what's available, and to be able to book those as well. And then they can see all of their tasks. So they can see the tasks that they've done in the past. They can see the tasks that they had to do, which was schedule an appointment with advising that we just did. So we can now mark that as complete. And that is now done for the student because Patrick just did that registering for the advising appointment. And then we can go through here and be able to see their network. Now, this is the important piece, right? You want them to have the AI assistant so they have the support 24/7. Whatever they need, whatever they want to ask, however they need help, they can go there. But they're going to need human support at some point. This is not removing the need for human support. This is helping supplement the human support. Our schools that are using these AI assistants saw a reduction of 80% of incoming messages and questions. So they only had to manage 20%, but there's still that 20%. And why is that important to give them that very close, very easy tether to that 20%? Because that's where students can feel lost. They can feel alone at times if they need help and you're only giving them AI and they actually need a person. The good thing is if they tell the assistant that they need to talk to someone, there will be a seamless handoff to whoever they need to talk to. So that's easy enough. But if they just wanted to go to their network of people, this is where they're going to be able to find every person that they would need to be connected with or get access to. They can have conversations with them through here that are private. They don't have to worry about not knowing who to go to for what, right? It gives name, title. This is all personalized based off of student. And then they're going to be able to select who they need to go to and take those necessary steps. So human support when it's needed is there for them, and they have access to the people that they need to have access to. So my network is a very important piece of it. And so students have not only the support of the AI assistants, but the support of the people that they need to reach out to and need to get in contact with right there as well. And then, of course, last but not least, I'm sure the elephant in the room, you can see the course information as well. So if students come in there and they need to see their current courses that they're enrolled in, they're going to be able to come in, and it's not just showing the name of the course in the description, it's showing a live look at what their current grade is, what their final grade was, how much they've been active within that course, how many absences they currently have. It's giving them a live, detailed look on what's happening, when the class is, where it's located, a description about it, who the teacher is, all of these things. And so they have line of sight into what's going on, what their current standing is, what their current status is, and they have an idea of that information. The other thing that they can do is they can look through a course catalog so they can see what options they have of other courses to take and the information on those courses. So while this is a very important thing for them to see and have access to. The real power, right, with this having this data infrastructure within Element 451 to be able to capture course data and all the events and activity that occur surrounding them is the power that it gives you as an institution. So essentially, now everything that you saw there, their absences, their grade information, what their current grade is, you'll be able to capture what their GPA is. All of these tools will now allow you to remember those segments that I was showing you that you could segment based off of data. Now you can take that course data, that live course data from your LMS, and you're going to be able to segment that to leverage things for your teams, for specific audiences that may be struggling with attending class, with their grades, with their assignments. And it's going to allow you to establish this cadence with campaigns, right? Text messages, emails, and even push communications. Push notifications is a new channel that we introduced with Student Hub because this is a mobile app. Now, everything that you need students to see, like if they haven't been to class, good example, right? So Patrick, his number of absences, if they go above 3, you can now push him into a campaign that because he went above 3 absences, he's now going to get a push communication that's now showing up on his lock screen right next to his DoorDash notification, right? So he's going to be able to see what you need him to see right on the lock screen of his phone. without him having to go into his email inbox and then take the step of opening the email to read it, which again, email's still very important. But if you need real-time connections to students based off of what is happening in real time for them, you need to be able to go in and have these push notifications be able to go out in real time. And this is one of those differentiators, right? I've talked whenever I was started going through the demo, we don't do this. Like we're not waiting for the faculty member to come in here and submit a form saying, hey, Patrick has missed 3 classes. Somebody needs to step in now. Not only is that just, it's not a dependable method because you're depending on the person to trigger off that event, but it's also something you shouldn't need to put on faculty, right? It shouldn't, they need to deal with and work on more important things than those, right? Obviously, students are important, but technology has come to a time and place where that's not necessary. So we are working on these native LMS API integrations that give real passes back and forth between Element and the LMS to remove the human in the loop of that equation and allow the systems to do the triggering. So as soon as it's recorded, that student has it just said, oh, Patrick wasn't here for class today. The system is going to look and see, well, now that's 3. And now it's going to tell Element, and Element's now going to trigger that push notification to go out in real time. So these are the tools, these are the systems that we have in play that are giving proactive nudges, proactive notifications, and engagement when they're needed. All right, let's keep rolling here. Internally, right? This is, we saw what the student experienced. Hopefully you were wowed. I'm sure you were. But now I want to show you what you would experience and how you would be able to use and navigate through the platform. So whenever we talk about things like creating forms and creating pages, you'll be able to see how easily that's done. So like this one that I created for you for the interactive demo, I simply go in here. You'll notice it's a very guided setup. You're able to control the content, the design, notifications, and even pull the embed code. If you didn't even want to put on a landing page, if you wanted to embed it on your website, you're able to find that embed code there. But whenever it comes down to actually building the form, it's as simple as clicking add field and then finding whatever fields you want to add and capture for a question on that form. And the beautiful part of this, which you'll see as we continue to go, is you build a form the same way you build an event form, the same way you build an appointment scheduling form, the same way you build an entire admissions application. So there is no heavy lifting when you talk about how you're using the platform. We've flattened the learning curve here on these processes to make it easier for you to not only go in and build it initially and stand it up, but to manage it moving forward. One of our partners that we have, CWI, College of Western Idaho, they actually launched their application and sat there for the first couple of days that it was launched, watched how students were doing it, the problems that they ran into, and on the fly, were going into their application and making adjustments to the fields, the logic, things like that, the moments that it was happening, and then it was changing and fixing it on the fly. Neither of them are on the IT team. And so that's the power of being able to have a system that's able to again create in these different various ways. And like I was saying, you can also have your payments here. So you can have payments associated with every form. They can be conditional payments as well as authenticated forms, which are pretty cool because you're going to be able to have either students can authenticate themselves and it'll pre-populate that form so they can update their contact information or anything like that. Or you can even have third party folks, guidance counselors, anyone like that come in and update student information through authenticating whoever that student is. So you can set that up on different pages as well. So let's hop in an insight. So I don't have to wait for a refresh there. We can hop in and look at the analytics here just for a second. Everything that you're capturing and working with and engaging on students, those things are captured and then routed up to our insights dashboards. So you're able to see in here all of the different reporting that comes out of the box, right? So dealing with applications, dealing with appointments, campaigns, your admissions funnel, all the conversations that are being had, anything that you can think of, you have these dashboards that are giving you the insights to what you're going to need to see to know if it's working, how it's working, what adjustments you need to make, and to have a clear picture of what's going on and what bottlenecks you're facing. So this is one we have for applications. So it's able to track applicants, total amount of applications, how many average applications per student, those kind of things, and then even what journey students are going through on the status action flows. So you can see everything from demographics of what high school students are coming from, and then applications by zip code geographically. You'll be able to see and break that down. So all of these things are just going to be at your fingertips to come in and leverage, and they come out of the box, right? And so these are not reports that you have to come in and build. So we also have them for email campaign performance, so you can see how students are engaging with the messaging that you're putting in front of them, for the two-way communications that you have within conversations and those AI assistants that we're having conversations with students. You'll be able to see here how much they're engaging with students, how much time they're working, how efficient they're being, how many minutes your actual people have saved. And then most importantly, knowledge base gaps, right? So where is it not hitting the marker? Where is it not knowing an answer, right? And that will indicate a gap in your knowledge base, which is also being tracked here in this log that will drive you to every single gap that occurs. So now you know where to update your knowledge base and to continue to refine it to make it as robust as possible and reflect the questions that students are actually asking and conversations that they're having. Which assistant is asking them, is working the most and having the most conversations, and even down to the sentiment that we're tracking. It's tracking positive and negativity of conversations. So you're going to be able to see that based off of where a student is in the funnel stage and how that flows from a positive to negative fashion to see where you need to tweak processes and maybe focus a little bit more. So there's a lot of things in here that are just giving you insight to the engagement, what's going on with students, and how those processes are going. All the events that you're managing within here, you're going to be able to see not only registration data and how registrations are going, but also how is the performance, right? Registration's great, but if no one's attending and everyone's registering, then that's a big problem. So you'll be able to see all of that. And one of the things that I haven't shown, but is available on all these dashboards, is the ability to customize the data that you're pulling into these dashboards. You're going to be able to drill down on any of those demographics that you've created as you queried and saved those lists over in the people module. You'll be able to pull those in and look at those individually or drill down on specific events that you want to analyze their performance and registration data on. All of that you'll be able to have here. And then you can even go over to Explore and look at it from a geographical standpoint, look at it through the funnel stage lens of what are your events that have been most impactful for enrolled students, and even look at a breakdown here of the different events and how they navigated through the funnel based off of it, right? ROI is a huge thing, and it's not just with money, it's with time and resources. So where are you spending it and is it working, right? And that's going to help you drive and make those decisions that you need to make that are based off of data and not just how you may perceive things to be going. It's important to leverage both of those things together. And then you have here, on top of student data and student engagement and everything happening with students, you also want to look at end users. How are the people working in your various departments actually working in and using the system on a day-to-day basis? Is it being productive? Is it being efficient? What's happening? What's going on? So you're able to look at these different areas between tasks, conversations they're having, note how are they notating records? How are they processing application decisions? All of that stuff is going to be able to be viewed here, and you're going to be able to see the productivity of it all. So you'll be able to see how many tasks are overdue, how long is it taking to complete them, on-time percentage rankings, and then heat maps. Love heat maps. Busiest hours for task completion. So you look at day of the week and time of the day and see when are the teams that you're working with and individuals getting the most work done from a task perspective, right? Is potluck every Tuesday from 12 to 2, and now you're not getting work, no one's getting work done ever on that time, right? Obviously, which who would? It's potluck. But you're going to be able to see what are blockers for productivity as well here. So this is a management dashboard that's helping you drill down on this different areas, in various areas of where people are using the platform and how they're using it to indicate how that can be done better or notice when it's being done well. Let's go ahead and take a look at what a student record looks like. And whenever we hop in here, you'll immediately see information that is relevant to the student. You'll be able to see calls to action, labels that are attached to that record, and then obviously a bunch of cards of information that house every single piece of information on that student that you've collected from their very first hand raise all the way through to when they're an alumni. Now, what you don't see is what's happening behind the scenes. So what's happening here is there are templates that are deployed based off of either where the student is in their journey or process or who the person is looking at that page. And so these profile templates are meant to put in front of you the things that are most important, what you need to see, when you need to see it, and how you need to see it. So if we go in here to profile templates, you'll notice I have advising one turned on now. So that's what was showing for me. And so now whenever I go back to Jamie's after turning that off, it's a completely different view, different calls to action, different metadata points under the name. The application is what's first and not notes and conversations, because the application is going to be important to deal with this student. So you're going to be able to see all of these things the way you need to see it, how you need to see it, and where you need to see it. And you don't have to worry about scrolling through to find the information that you're looking for. We do also, in case you have a lot of things in here that you do need to see, we've done a lot in here to make it easy for you to navigate through that. So if I do want to see conversations, I just have to search it and pull it up. And then I can even put in applications next to it. So I can keep creating like this pseudo board as I go through on the fly. But if I click in here to conversations, you'll notice these are all of the two-way communications that are with this student. Their chats from the website, their text messages, the emails that they're talking back and forth on, all of these are going to be scoped to that particular student record. And I showed you the student facing AI, right? But the internal AI assistants that we have are very impactful. So I can come in here to contact summary, notice it has context to whatever page I'm on. It already populated the student that I want to see the summary on, and I click submit, and it's going to analyze this entire student record, all the activity on the record, and it's going to give me a summary of that student, where they're at in the application process, how much they've been engaged, what their engagement level is. And now I can even just ask questions about this student. Based on all this, what is the best way to contact Jay? Because that's their preferred name, of course, right there. Given Jamie's high engagement with emails and their preference for nighttime activity, the best way to contact Jay would be through email sent during the evening or night. Okay, perfect. Can you go ahead and send an email inviting them to the open house next week? We need to get them signed up by tomorrow and make it fun. So on top of being able to give you information, it can also do work on your behalf. It can notate records, it can write emails for you, it can write text messages for you. So it puts all that together, and then you can go ahead and you can give it feedback, say, oh, I don't like the way this looks, do this differently, make it shorter, send it. And then that immediately goes ahead and it sends that email to that student, and you'll be able to see that in their conversations as that sends. So whenever I say it's the AI assistants are making your life easier, that is again just another way that it is helping drive productivity and streamline things, so you don't have to go searching all over the place to find it and to do things within the system. And notice there's that email within the conversation, so you'll have that to access there now too. So you have all of that there. So that's the person record. And keeping on the context of communications, I wanted to go in and showcase these two-way communications as a whole. Now, you'll notice whenever we were talking to the AI assistants, those conversations were all coming in here, right? So you always have complete transparency to those AI assistants. There's the Vietnamese message that it came back and sent. So any of these two-way comms, chat, text, email, WhatsApp, anything, that's coming in through the conversations module. Obviously, these can automatically be assigned to people as they come in. There's seamless handoff from the AI assistants that is allowing that to occur. But also, once you step in and join, you can manually step in and join these conversations. And then you're able to see, I'm going to assign myself. And then I can go in and I can do things like upload images to send those over, to send files over. There's canned replies in here that you can have for emails or texts that you want to send out really quickly that you have. Or those AI assistants, man, they're working here too. So you have them, they can come in and generate answers to questions that students are coming in with. Or you can also have them come in and work similar to Grammarly, but even better, right? Fix your spelling, grammar issues. You can change the tone of how something is said. You can translate it to another language. You're able to do all these things really with a click of a button to help you really break down barriers with students. So maybe a student comes in speaking Vietnamese like this. person getting it handed off to them, they don't speak Vietnamese. So you're going to be able to come in immediately translate anything that comes in over to English or Spanish. So you can continue to not have the student alter what they are doing. They can still continue to speak in their native language, meet them where they are, and then you can translate it and even talk back with them in their language because you can translate what you're saying as well. So all of these things are just meant to break down the barriers, right? Increase the personal connection and the personal engagement that you're able to have with these students, even down to the first party integration that we have with Lumen Co-Video. So if you wanted to go in here and record a video, this is what I was referencing about people helping students with the application if they get stuck. They can go in here and record a video that's up to 5 minutes long. It can either be just of their face, their themselves, or it can also be the screen and the camera. So it can help them be able to troubleshoot anything that student is going through or dealing with, and they can go back and forth with students that way as well. It just gives the students something to engage with that they're more likely to engage with from video content, to be quite honest with you, and also something that drives and develops a bigger and stronger personal connection than just a text message would. These are all things that we've intentionally put in here to be able to easily let you have these things at your fingertips. That's the conversations section. That's how you would be able to come in, see them, how they're all managed. If you're looking at the back end of what that looks like in the settings, all of those automations that I was talking about, who is assigned to those conversations when things get handed off to somebody, that's all set up here in the automation rules section, to where you can even look at when students get frustrated talking to an AI assistant. And as soon as they get frustrated, seamlessly hand off to a person before they even ask. So you can set up exactly the experience you want students to be and exactly when you need them to get passed off or handed off to a person, or when someone needs to be alerted for that to happen. So that's the back end of the conversations. And then just the back end of the AI assistants. I think one more thing to cover is the fact that the AI assistants that I was showing you, those are not just on your website talking with students. Those can talk with and be the frontline support for your website chat, for emails, for text messages, and for WhatsApp. That can be your frontline support for them to step in and have those conversations and help students with whatever they're needing, asking questions, answering questions. One of the things that we didn't even go through and demo today was the fact that the chat that they're having, the conversation that they're having, they can even go in, it can collect inquiries, it can register them for events, schedule appointments, drive them to their application portal, all within the conversation. So it has skills on top of just being able to have conversations to do work on your behalf, to drive them where they need to go, register for them, schedule for them, all within the conversation. So these AI assistants are, again, the conversations, they are really revolutionizing and transforming what frontline support teams are having to do and deal with and manage on a day-to-day basis, and the experience that students are getting as they go through your website and try to get accessibility to more information. So that's the two-way communication portion of it. This is what we've been doing for years. This has been our bread and butter, personalized at scale marketing, messaging, and communications that are truly personalized through using those different segments that we were showing earlier, one workflow or one campaign to really personalize for multiple different demographics and personas, right? So persona-based marketing. So whenever you go to set it up, like everything else in the system, it's guided. You choose your communication type, whether it's a one-time to a group of students, or it's just an ongoing, more of a campaign there. And then you're able to go through, set up your personalizations, that the groups of personas that you're going to be a part of that. And then you're going to be able to come down here and set up that email, right? What is the subject line? What's the preview text? If you're not very creative and you don't know a good one to put in, no problem. You can have AI go ahead and generate a preview line and a subject line for you based off of whatever tone of voice you're wanting to use. And then you can hop down here into the actual build of that email, and it's going to look familiar because you saw our landing page builder. This is where you're going to be able to see all of the different WYSIWYG content that you can just drop in here, utilize, build, save templates, reuse over and over again. And remember, you see a lot of orange and black in here. This is all going to be your branding, your logos, your colors when it's your instance. But this is going to be how you can put into hyperspeed. You don't have to know HTML to build these out and to leverage them. And then once they're pulled in here, remember those personas, right? The version conditions, you're going to be able to go in here. And if someone's interested in the health tech program, they're not going to get the general image. They're going to get an image of someone in the health tech program. If that person's also a female, they may get different verbiage than versus what a male would receive. If that person's a prospect, right? Health tech, female prospect. You don't want to drive them to attend an event. You want to drive a prospect to your application portal. And we utilize, again, a friction point remover. We utilize what are called magic links. And we can input a magic link here for your application portal that completely circumvents the registration for the application and drops them directly into the portal. So it creates that login for them and then drops them directly where they need to be to start their application. So you have this where you're going to be able to create this quickly and easily, a lot easier than you've ever done it before. I assure you of that. And this is the foundation of it. This isn't even the wow moment that Gerald was talking about, right? So whenever we exit out of there and I open up the AI assistants, I'm going to go ahead and click to start a new one here. I have this gun pre-prepared here. I'm going to go ahead and drop this in. Notice I put a prompt in here that I needed a campaign to promote registration for an upcoming application workshop and campus tour. So I let them know what the target audience was. I told them what the goal was. I told them how many comms I needed and what channels I wanted it to be in. So immediately it's going to search the knowledge base for any relevant information that is put in there about the institution. And it immediately goes in and it writes out a comm plan for me. What is the outline for COM 1, COM 2, COM 3, and COM 4? But I have, let's say I have a lot more details about this event and we haven't built it out in the instance yet. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and start marketing to these people, but let me give it some more context on the event. So like where it is, who's the contact, what's the contact information. So then it's going to actually go and I pasted all that in there, gave it all the info. It pulled out all the event details, knew in context what they were. And now it's going through and it's rewriting that communication outline for me yet again. So now I'm like, okay, it has enough information. It's giving the right things now. So now I think this looks pretty good. So I'm going to say this looks good. Let's go. And it's going to go transition from creating the outline for me to building that entire campaign. So it's going to write the content. It's going to pull in the images that are relevant to the message that it's sending based off of the marketing approved images in your media library. It analyzes them. I built one for someone the other day and it was about the nursing program and it pulled in pictures of nursing students into it, right? It knows what you're talking about and pulls in images that are like, and it's doing all the HTML. I'm actually going to close this because this is a very important aspect of it that I'm about to show you. Branding, right? You think of branding, you think of colors, you think of logos, you think of fonts, you think of those things. Branding here is the writing style, right? You want whatever is writing here not to just be an AI writer that hundreds of other schools are using because hundreds of other schools are using it. You want it to be unique to Troy University. So whatever the writing style is, the tone, the voice, the point of view, the writing intent, you're able to establish all of that to uniquely represent Troy University and the message that you want to put across and how you want to be able to talk to students when it's writing on your behalf. So this gives you that fine-tuned control to be able to do that. So you can go in and input this yourself. Or if you have previous, I'm sure you guys have been doing some kick-ass marketing stuff for a while already. So you can go in and actually come in and take some of those writing examples that you have, drop those in here as examples, and it will infer what your writing style is based off of those writing examples as well. So that's how it's writing the content, not only the information from your knowledge base, but it's also writing from your perspective. And you'll be able to see as we go down here, it's completely done with building this entire campaign. So whenever I click into that email, one of the emails that it built, and I go down to edit, you'll notice that it built everything here, the subject line, the preview text. It was able to build this in, it pulled in the images, it wrote the copy, the content, pulls in the calls to action. And so it does all of that for you from the ground up. Now you can go in and edit whatever you want. You can even use AI assistants to help you edit it, translate it to another language, change the tone. You can edit and change whatever you want, but it has done the 70 to 80% of the lift, the legwork for you, the stuff that takes a week to complete. It just did that in 2 minutes. And that's what Gerald's talking about when he's like the wow moment, right? That's it. Because you can see how transformative this can be for what you're doing and how you're going to be able to do this. So something comes up immediately and they're like, hey, we need to start sending this out to students, right? long gone are the days now that you have to spend days formulating that and setting that up before you get it out. You can go and be like, oh, you know what? That's cool. Let's go in, let's set it up, and let's make some minor tweaks and we can get it out this afternoon. These are the adjustments that help with that. These are the tools that empower you to be able to do those things. Because the last thing here, it's not just doing the emails, it's also doing the entire workflow. So all of the automation, it's scheduling out when each of those messages need to go, what the delay is between each of them, and it's building and setting that up for you. Again, like the email, you can go in and make any adjustments or changes that you want. If you want to go into a communication and schedule it to send at the time that the student prefers to open it for every single one of those individual students, you can go in and make that adjustment just with a click of a button, exit out of it, and now it's going to do that for that message. If you want to add in here a task for somebody at one of these steps so they can call and actually reach out from a task template that you have on here, you can do that, right? Everything is click, drop, make adjustments, add in your triggers for who your audience is based off of what those people are doing and where they're at in the process, and then add in whatever action steps you want along the way. So these are these are the tools that are really going to help transform that process and everything that is going on there. That's it. That's our lengthy journey through our Element 451 platform. I'm sure you have even more questions now, and there's even so much more for you to still see. So reach out, let us know what questions we can answer and when we can schedule your own personalized full length demo as soon as possible. We'll talk to you very soon. Have a good one. Bye.